of the foreign participation in the stock market, in terms of having a strong repatriation fund to ensure the foreign currency when a foreign investor wants to exit, because this caused the problem in the early year 2000 or 2001. So now this is not the case anymore. If the investors want to go out with 10 billion US dollars, there is a strong repatriation fund that serves for these investors. So I think that opening the market for all investors without putting any limit will benefit the market, and also setting these limits to the market will not prevent the market or protect it from collapsing.
Yes. Well, looming over the activities within the market are the investigations involving former regime officials and ministers, and any of them who have any sort of shares or any sort of relation to any of the leading stocks or their companies within the Egyptian stock market, their shares suffered quite a substantial effect through these investigations. How much of an effect do you think these shares owned by people under investigations are affecting the performance of the Egyptian stock market as a whole?
There are few stocks, only very few, that are having the exposure of being owned partially by former regime officials. Maybe, I don't think they exceed 3 or 4 companies. Maybe they represent a good weight in the stock market, but yet they are only 3 or 4. And also we don't have some sort of domination except in one company, for example. The company is a typical industrial company that will still work, and maybe all the crime that you said, it's a pure personal thing. That has nothing to do with the company itself. Maybe in real estate companies, the whole issue about how did they acquire the assets, how did they acquire the land or something like this, maybe will affect the companies. But there was a big I don't know how to say this, but there was a big message sent to the public that this is the stock market, which is not the case. It's a very minor problem. If we say that this all overall, they represent 10% of the market, okay, but it's only affecting 5% or 10% of these companies. So it's only 1% of the whole market. So I don't think it's a big issue. And I think it was already priced, as you said, because these stocks were hammered already. And maybe now we have to differentiate between a company that is facing problems and still it's very attractive in terms of valuation. There are companies, maybe they're having problems, but their problems, the stock price should be at 10, but it's now at 3. Even with the problems, it is valued at 10. It's now at 3. So you still have from the £3 to 10, which is a good upside potential that can make anyone speculate on this and just get this risk premium that he's getting. There are several as well precautions taken by the stock exchange and by the EFSA, which is the regulator of the stock market, to prevent anyone from dealing in these stocks, so that all their assets are frozen. And even those who are not even having a unified code, you know, any investor to invest, any person to invest in the stock market, he has to have a unified code. So as a precaution, the stock exchange just took all the names. If you have a code, okay, I'll freeze your asset. If you don't have a code, I'll just make a code for you and just block this in order for you not being able to trade or something like this. So all of this precaution is pretty much normal, and I think they will limit any kind of potential manipulation or maybe money leakage outside the system by former regime officials. And yet, I said it before, but I have to repeat it because to say it with you, is that we have to make sort of 2 teams. One team working for the future and one team working, digging into the past. In order, we want people to start build, to operate, to make profits. We need the country really to start working again. We're facing a lot of trouble in the last quarter. We're having a drop in our foreign currency income, almost by 80% in the first quarter. We have the tourism stopped. We have the transfers from Egyptian abroad stopped. We have FDIs will witness a huge drop. So all of this needs some sort of real hard work all over the rest of the year, just try to regain some of what happened so that we end up in a better shape. By the way, maybe I'm always claimed to be the optimistic side of the picture. But I'm really optimistic, not because of the current status, but I'm really optimistic because I know where are we really going, not in terms of what is the current situation, but how we will end up. Because there are two things that didn't change. The resources, the natural resources that we have, and this very strong demographic structure that we have. We're having natural resources from everywhere. We have a very diversified gross domestic product. Not like, for example, like regional countries, mainly dependent on the oil and gas sector. No, we're having oil and gas, we're having tourism, we're having Suez Canal, we are having industry, we're having agriculture. We have a very diversified. You cannot see a single sector contributing more than 12 to 15% of your GDP. So at least you have this diversification that would make you save a lot of the effort that if you expedite in the efforts in one of these sectors, it would compensate you for the drop in another sector. So this is regarding the natural resource. The second thing is the demographics. How many we are? We are 85 million,
yes.
80 million. It's 60% of this population is under the age of 30. If you can imagine the workforce, if you can imagine the consumption, the local consumption,
yes.
the local demand. It's a really easy mark for all investors and for all companies to come and operate in Egypt just for the local demand and for the local consumption, not depending on our resources as well. So we have the two things that didn't change. What do both of them need? Leadership and management.
Yes. Well, Mr. Ahmed, as you said, one of the main sectors contributing to the economic state of Egypt is the tourism sector. And the tourism sector, as we all know, has been severely hit after the 25th of January revolution. How soon do you think the tourism sector could actually start pumping in the money and paying the bills in the Egyptian stock market? And how much of an effect do you think it will have on the bourse?
Regarding the tourism sector, what happened in Egypt?
The revolution.
Political revolution. There is no terror.
Yes.
It's not like what happened in 1997 in Luxor. This was a real threat. So the tourism we regained back the tourism levels in a 3 years' time, I think. Yes. So, and this was directly hitting the tourism. So hopefully it will be far less than 3 years. I don't expect even to consume for 1 year. We have our partners and board of directors, they're all foreigners. And I have my boss, he's a US citizen, and he's here every 3 months. But this time he asked me, let's go to Tahrir Square. So Tahrir Square is becoming a new touristic site. Although he went to Tahrir Square hundreds of times with me.
Yes.
But this time it has a special flavor, a special taste. So to be honest with you, also the companies working in this sector, in the tourism sector, they are pretty much accommodating with changing circumstances, ups and downs, I'm sure that the tourism will regain its power again, especially that we have the Red Sea is still there, all the Luxor and Aswan is still there. Thanks God, the Egyptian Museum, with all what happened, but the bulk is still there.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this topic in tonight's Daily Debate. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Ahmed Abou Saad, the Managing Director of a multinational company based here in Egypt and the financial expert. Mr. Ahmed, thank you very much for your insight and joining us here in the Daily Debate.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to tune again tomorrow night at 10 p.m. and another Daily Debate. Thank you for joining us.